Hello everybody, this is for week 2 for the discussion questions. So I read the article and watched the video. Sorry, there was a lot of information, so I'm gonna read a bunch from my notes that I took on Word. You can't see anything. Anyways, um, so explain the link between mental illness and nutrition, especially carbs, proteins, healthy fatty acids, vitamins, and minerals. So the article starts by saying that few people know about the relationship between the nutrition and depression or mental illness, and I have to admit that I definitely am part of the majority in this case, that I did not know um, about the connection between these two. I mean, I knew about the importance of nutrition, but just like the information mentioned, most people just focus on the relationship between nutrition and physical health, not as much on the mental health. So I have to admit that I am guilty of not being very well informed. Um, the most important part that I kind of liked was that the common mental disorders that are currently prevalent in numerous countries are depression, bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, and obsessive compulsive disorder. I mean, just to know that nutrition affects depression, bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, that is unbelievable to me and in a way scary, especially since we live in arguably one of the most unhealthy countries in the world. It's definitely scary. Um, So the dietary intake pattern of the general population in America and Asian countries reflects that they are deficient in all the nutrients that affect depression, bipolar disease, and schizophrenia, all the what was mentioned before. So vitamins, especially vitamins, minerals, and omega-3, so the fatty acids. The first thing that I would like to mention is the carbs. So studies have found that consumption of diets low in carbs tend to uh, raise the chances of depression. Um, so since the production of brain chemicals, serotonin, all of these promote a healthy well-being, and they are all triggered by carbs, which is great. And uh, as I was reading this, I went and did a little bit of research myself because I grew up in the Mediterranean. I spent a lot of time. I'm from Albania myself, which is right next to Greece, but I've lived in Greece um, for years. I lived in Italy for years. So I've had the chance to travel, and the one thing in common is the diet, Mediterranean diet. And I have to say that carbs, proteins, and fatty acids, and all the vitamins that are mentioned in our reading for today are very high in Mediterranean diet. And the research that I found was that all the Mediterranean countries, Spain, Italy, Albania, Greece, all of these countries are people suffering from depression or Alzheimer's or all other mental disorders is extremely low compared to America, and that is I even checked about they keep it relative to the population. Um, so I can give testimony myself when it comes to the importance of the diet. I just reading through this um, articles that we had to read today and watching the videos, I definitely connected the dots regarding these things. The other thing was proteins. So food rich in high quality protein include meats, milk, and other dairy products and eggs. So protein intake, in turn, the individual amino acids can affect the brain functioning and mental health. So a lot of these notes that I took, I kind of just took them word for word from what I read because I want to make sure that I get everything right. So many of the neurotransmitters in the brain are made from amino acids, and this was very important to me as I was reading, because that is how our brain communicates with everything. That is how the messages get across. And if we're not eating enough protein, then we are not going to be healthy, then our brain is not going to be healthy, and that means that the rest of us is not going to be healthy. It talks about dopamine and the importance of dopamine and how dopamine is made from the amino acids, and the neurotransmitters such as the serotonin as well. They are all affected by the intake of protein that we have. Even though from the American diet, I don't think there is a lack of protein, but I would imagine that just as lack of protein affects the chances of a mental illness, so if we overdo it, if we overeat, I am sure that that is not good either. So that will affect it as well. So actually, yeah, it's even on my notes here that an excessive buildup of these acids will lead to brain damage and mental retardation. So yeah, we have to be careful. The fatty acids during late gestation and the early postnatal period. So this is focusing more on the pregnancy period of a woman. Neurodevelopment occurs at significantly rapid rates, which make the supply of adequate quantity of fatty acids important and imperative to ensure outgrowth in addition to appropriate development of brain and retina. This part was extremely important to me because I have a very, very close friend that, or friends that are pregnant right now, and we were discussing the importance of a healthy diet while pregnant. So I will definitely share with them what I read for my preparation for this class. Vitamins, B complex. The interesting part was that these changes that affects our mood, the lack of the B complex vitamins. So let's see. So if there was the article mentions research or studies that were made about how after someone that was feeling down for a while or for over a year, once they improve the vitamin B complex intake, their mood changed within 3 months. So there definitely is scientific proof over there that these things are needed. This mood improvement was particularly associated with improved vitamin B2 and B6 intake. In women, and this was important, women baseline vitamin B1 status was linked with poor mood and an improvement in the same after 3 months was associated with improved mood. So take a lot of B1, ladies. B12 vitamin, clinical trials have indicated that vitamin B12 delays the onset of signs of dementia, and that is dementia, as we know, and Alzheimer's. It's a growing threat. Everything that we read, everything that we study shows us that it is definitely a growing threat. So B12, it's important. We should make it an important part of our diet. Let's see. Now, minerals. First mineral was calcium. A study showed that selective serotonin uptake inhibitors inhibit absorption of calcium into bones. So in addition to this, the SSRIs can also lower blood pressure in people, resulting in falls, which may lead to broken bones and head, concussions and things like that. Something that they mention here is that mentioned in the article was how even the doctors not being careful, they're prescribing all these SSRIs or medication with SSRIs that are affecting that might help about something else, about one aspect of whatever the client is struggling with. However, they are inhibiting their body to absorb calcium, and it has side effects. Chromium, many studies associated with chromium in humans' depression have been recorded, which indicate the significance of the misconstruent in mental health. That's all kind of had about chromium, so I definitely have to look more into that. The iodine provided by the thyroid hormone ensures the energy metabolism and the cerebral cells. And again, during pregnancy, iodine, it is extremely important, because if you do not have enough iodine, it induces severe cerebral dysfunction, and that is, of course, something that no one wants while they're pregnant. That will definitely affect. It goes on to talk about iron and how lack of iron while pregnant, it will apparently affect the child's IQ. Let's see what else. Trying to be as selective as possible here because I took a lot of notes. Lithium. We all know lithium. I'm sure that, taking the DSM class and all those classes and just being around agencies, we all know how lithium is being used to work on with bipolar clients, antidepressants, and all things like that. However, we should be careful, because if we intake too much of it, then it will cause cardiovascular disease. Let's see, what else was it? Pulmonary, even skin. So even you'll have breakouts and things like that. Importance during the pregnancy is be very, very careful with the intake of lithium, as it's not good for you. Selenium. In a large review, Dr. David Benton of the University of Wales identified at least 5 studies which indicate the low selenium intake is associated with lowered mood status. So this is a little bit just like the other vitamins that we mentioned before, or that this will affect selenium, or the lack thereof will affect your mood. Let's see, zinc. At least 5 studies have shown the zinc levels are lower in those with clinical depression. So we just see all of these studies, and they're peer-reviewed, so they're trustworthy, that show that all these vitamins and all of these minerals are crucial to our to being healthy mentally. Then the next part is about quiz. I did take the quiz, and so let's see what it said. So when it comes to vegetables, I need work. Surprise, surprise. I need work on vegetables. I need to eat my broccoli. Fruit, I'm doing outstanding. Protein foods, I need work as well, so I'm only having 3 out of 7. So I need to work on eating more steak. Protein foods, such as vegetarian alternatives, I'm doing great on that one. So I need to maybe work a little bit more on the meats. Grains, I'm almost there, it says, getting there. Dairy, I'm getting there. Water, I'm excellent. Sauces and condiments, I'm excellent. The question was just what I learned, or how do these align with what I've learned so far, my quiz results, and how they align is that they scared the crap out of me. So I'm definitely going to make sure that I eat more broccoli, more cauliflower, all of these vegetables that are high in all the minerals and all the vitamins that we mentioned so far, because I want to not deal with mental illness. I would really love to avoid that issue in my life. And the more I think about it, the protein and iron, because of school and because working full time and everything like that, I definitely have sensed that as the semester drags along, I tend to feel a little bit more tired. And as I look back, I definitely realized that my diet wasn't as good. So I can tell you that I have seen firsthand how all of these things are true that are mentioned here so far. So the other part was the social life article. Social life article, what are the benefits of having an active social life? So studies have shown that the more active our social life is, the healthier we are, and the longer we live. Being surrounded by loved ones helps us deal with stress in a healthier way. The article used the word resilient. To be resilient towards stress, I think it should be a universal goal for all of us. Another thing that the article pointed out was that sometimes our loved ones notice that we are stressed even before we notice it or we recognize it ourselves. So that is a great point. I think we've all been there when we walk into class or work or whatever we're doing, or we meet our parents after a while that we haven't, and they do ask us, "Hey, are you okay? You don't seem yourself today. How's everything going?" And the more we discuss with them and the more we think, then we're like, you know what? Yeah, I've been having a tough week or a tough few days. So having people that care for you around you is very important. My close relationships that I have, my main relationships are with my wife, my sister, my parents. I have many friends, but I can say that I only have one best friend, and so the way that I intend to keep all of these is through following, that list that they gave us in the article was great, which the first one was show your appreciation. And as we get busy and stressed, we are definitely not as aware of other people, not just ourselves, but other people as well. So I definitely need to keep that in mind and show my appreciation towards people that are around me. Stay in touch. Again, life, takes its toll on us. We get busy, and we forget a friend's birthday, or we forget to return a text or a phone call. It's important to stay in touch, for sure. Be available when you're needed. That was very, very important to me, because how many times has a friend or a loved one, saved our butts from a tight situation, and I need to reciprocate in the same way. I'm a strong believer in that, for sure. Something that I need to work on is accept their health, which was step 4. This is something that I'm not very good at, I have to admit. So the goal that I have when it comes to this is open up with my wife more about what is stressing me and what I'm struggling with at the moment. Yeah, I'm going to follow up with that goal. I need to let her know more about what I'm struggling with. Support successes. Obviously, if we love them, we will support them if they're successful. There is no room for jealousy or resentment in a genuine friendship or a genuine relationship, caring relationship, loving the relationship. So that's a no-brainer right there. Keep the lines of communication open. Again, like I mentioned before, return that phone call, return that text. Make sure that they know every once in a while if you saw them that were stressed, shoot them a text and just let them know, hey, I'm here if you want to talk about whatever you're struggling with. Don't hesitate to call. Put some good karma out there for sure. At the same time, respect the needs and limits. We all have our limits, and we must be aware of each other's limits for sure. Something else is know when a relationship isn't working for you. And that was the last one, and I loved that one because that is one of the main stressors in people's lives, where they are not careful about who they're allowing to be around them. So I definitely, I'll have a look and see about my relationships that I've been having or that I have, and see which relationship is not worth having, For sure. When it comes to the 2 activities about this week, the first one was I spent time with a pet. I went to an animal shelter. I don't have a pet myself, but I went to an animal shelter. Actually, I do go sometimes. But since I had this goal, I definitely want, and I will go again before next time that I have to submit the video. And I gotta say, it's always such a great experience to be around animals, to appreciate unconditional love. These creatures, I mean, they're unbelievable. They don't know you, but most of them that have not really suffered trauma or anything like that, you know, they'll love you right away just for being there for them. What a great lesson that is, you know, for us as human beings, to allow ourselves to be vulnerable. Something else that I pointed out in the Padlet link was to read something that has nothing to do with school. It's been really tough to just read something outside the school the last couple of years. So I've made it as a goal, and we'll see where we are on that by the time I submit my next video or so. So I have definitely been following up with a pet, but when the reading a book outside of school, that is something that I still have to do as a self-care activity. So, all right. Thank you.